We're starting off with our YouTube camera going live. So hello to all of our friends there in the world of YouTube. And now I want to say hi to all of our friends there in the world of Facebook. So the Facebook show is now live, and we'll just get situated here as we get some folks logging on. And now, still getting this straight on the side for the YouTube. And let's see, does it? It doesn't tell me. Nope, it doesn't tell me live chat. Let's see if I can display participants. There we go. So I turned on the live chat there for our YouTube channel. I turned on also the live chat there for our Facebook, and we are good to go here on this Tuesday tools, tips, and techniques. Not to predict, but to prepare. Let's see, can we do this? I think we can. Let's try it this way. So we are now at 1,000 and I think 86 miles on my Nike app, having run. It's a lot of miles. It's a lot of miles. So let's also, thanks for the thumbs up there. Thank you very much. And how is everybody doing, by the way? Erica Marie. I can only smile. And how's everybody else? Everybody have a good 4th of July weekend, a safe one, all 10 fingers, all the limbs. And no major protests, calamities. Alrighty. We're going live here. What do you guys think? Is this a keeper or a shaver? I don't know. And hello, South Florida. Welcome to yet another live edition of the Real Estate Show. South Florida's #1 program about real estate and America's #1 and the longest running show about real estate. Yes, we are live Monday through Friday. That's 5 days a week. We're live here at 8 p.m. Eastern time, and we're live in a whole bunch of places. We're live on AM 1470, Money Talk Radio. We're live on 95.3, Money Talk Radio Network. Live on 96.9 and live on 103.9. All of them, Money Talk Radio. If you want to search, they're also live streaming on the iHeartRadio network. So all you have to do is, if you've already downloaded the free app, otherwise download that app. Doesn't take up a lot of space, but it sure gets you a lot of shows, and this is one of them. You can listen to the Real Estate Show simply by going to iHeartRadio, looking for WWN Money Talk Radio 1470, and it'll pop right up. Click right in at 8 p.m. Eastern time. Now, if you happen to be listening at a different time, you can just go over to our website at automaticlandlord.com. That's automaticlandlord.com, where you can listen to it there, either live streaming, you can download it in podcast form, or you can also go and listen to any of the episodes going back literally years and years are already archived there on that website. Also on our realestateshow.net, therealestateshow.net. You can find it there as well. Well, as I told you, this week is just a tremendously jam-packed week full of lots of great information. We started off by kicking off our Mondays on a Mission, laying out the agenda for the entire week. We talked about our new year as we start here on July 1st. It's the new year, and we got so much planned and so much ahead. We talked about a little bit of what the prognosis was in a lot of different areas. But for that, I want you to really tune in on our Wednesday show. Wednesday is our midweek report. We got a lot of stuff there. We're going to be talking about the midweek report, some of the stimulus updates. We're going to talk about assistance from some other agencies. And also, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the influences on the rates. Thursday, as you know, is our All About the Money edition. So we're going to talk about the automatic debt solution. And we're going to go into a bit more depth. As you know, my guest that night is Don Martin, who will be breaking down the automatic debt solution. We're also going to be talking about our expansion team. And so we're going to go into a post-show dive into the nitty-gritties of that on Thursday. And of course, Friday, we've got some deals lined up for you. We got a recap, of course, of all of the things that come up for the week. But before we can get to all of that, right, we have our Tuesdays, tools, tips, and techniques. And last week, if you were a regular listener of our radio show, you know that I brought a very special, very knowledgeable, and a little bit mysterious guest on our show. It was the Foreclosure Man. And you can learn more about the Foreclosure Man at the website, asktheforeclosureman.com. Well, we just scratched the surface last week, and I'm going to bring him on again this week in just a minute. And we're going to go a little bit deeper into our conversation about, the word that's on everyone's mind right now. While the market appears strong, while the market appears to be so far not buckling under this high unemployment, the coronavirus resurgence, the protests, and it seems no matter what you throw at the real estate market right now, but just remember there are a few artificial underpinnings right now. Number one, that we have a foreclosure moratorium. So there can't be any foreclosures right now. We also have an eviction moratorium. So they can't be evictions or foreclosures right now. And so right now you can bet that there's a little bit of an artificial support. We can have a whole different discussion on another night, whether that's good, bad, or ugly. I certainly do have my opinions and my views on that. But what I want to focus on today is not so much to be predicting what's happening, but to be prepared for what's happening. So without further ado, I want to introduce once again the Foreclosure Man. And while we're not allowed to give out his name today on the radio show, as we were not last week, I will tell you that that will be forthcoming. I just don't know when. But before I do that, I want to go into a little background, because more important than just the name is the knowledge, and the knowledge that he brings to the table goes quite a ways back and pretty deep when it comes to the topic of foreclosure. Been around this market 21 years here on the air, and I've talked to a lot of people, foreclosure attorneys, so-called foreclosure experts, and you can bet my fair share of people in foreclosure for every imaginable reason that you can imagine. And I will tell you, there are a few people that will be able to talk as knowledgeably about this topic as the Foreclosure Man. So first of all, before we get into what we're going to cover in today's program, can you hear me there, Foreclosure Man? No, my pleasure is mine, and the privilege is ours to be able to kind of pick your brain a little bit in this arena. So before we get going, I know I love the reaction when I do this because you get this question all the time. I guess in the name of disclaimers and disclosures, are you an attorney?
With me in order to represent my clients. So no, I am not an attorney. I have an inventory of some of the finest foreclosure defense attorneys in the state that I use for my clients.
Yeah, and I was kidding around because I know a lot of times you have you have that response that you resent that question, and and one of the nice things I think is that not being a foreclosure attorney. First of all, being an attorney doesn't necessarily mean you know what you're talking about, and I'll say that across the board. As someone who has my fair share of attorney friends, maybe more than my fair share, and my fair share of attorneys in the world of business and so forth. I get that. So being an attorney doesn't guarantee you're talking to somebody that knows anything about it. And not only that, if you recall, Richard, before 2007, before 2008, when all the markets imploded and quite famously the real estate market imploded, and we had this basically this tidal wave of foreclosures that happened. Before that happened, you probably would have a hard time finding somebody who was specialized and focused only in that area. Foreclosure attorneys usually either were title attorneys that were more clerical than litigators, and so they knew about real estate in the I think in the normal day-to-day fashion, but not all the ins and outs of these crazy mortgage contracts that were out there. So when all of a sudden there was this huge need for foreclosure attorneys, they came mostly from the field of bankruptcy. They came mostly from the title attorneys, and a whole bunch of other attorneys that weren't busy doing anything else decided to come in here because, quite frankly, the consumer didn't know whether you didn't know what you didn't know.
That happens to be very true. And one of the statistics most people don't understand, 85%, and I pick a number out of about 25 years ago knowledge, it may have changed since then. So 85% of the attorneys or the people who have gone for a law degree cannot make a living as being an attorney. 15% make a living and they survive at it. 85% usually go on and become something else. Doesn't make them bad people. It's just a very difficult profession. I call it an industry, which some attorneys, they get PO'd at me, but it is an industry. There's no hiding that. You can call it a profession, but it's still an industry where you make a living based upon the need. So when this all occurred back in 2007 and 8, I had been researching it for a number of years, and I knew full well that I understood more about the mortgage-backed security and the mortgage business than any 100 attorneys put in a room or any room full of Harvard MBAs. And I could ask questions within 3 or 4 minutes and chase them all out of the room. So based upon that knowledge, I said, why don't I go into a business where I represent people as their agent and find attorneys that I feel capable and can represent them honestly and properly to a greater conclusion than had they gone out and found their own so-called attorney that really just did cut-and-paste law. So that's how this began in 2007 and beginning in 2008. But again, I'm not an attorney. Just happened to be an old guy that began in investigating Will Monetary said when I retired, and I predicted all of this. In 2003, I predicted everything that we're living through today, and I am, quite frankly, predicting what we're going through. And this is going to make me sound like a whack job, and I don't mean to, but what we're going through today in the dislocation of equity, in the dislocation of trust. I'm writing a book, and hopefully will be out soon, that will deal with what we're factually living through today, which is going to have another great impact on the mortgage industry and the foreclosure business. And I hate to call it that, but it is a business. And it's unfortunate so many people will suffer from foreclosure. But when they do, they have no place to go. They'll hire an attorney, go to a friend who has an attorney, cousin, or whatever. I am their best source, unequivocally.
Oh, I'll attest to that, and I'll tell you one of the neat things that really attracted my attention and my interest is this whole concept of foreclosure management. Because I guess we said it in different ways, but both of us are in agreement that it's very difficult for the average consumer to be able to figure out who is the right attorney for their case. Who understands the case, who understands the foreclosure law, who's in the right market, and all of that. And to be able to have somebody that can have a conversation, ask the right questions, and this is key, know at what step of the process, because there's part of this process that needs an attorney. There's part of this process that some of the banks will go around the attorney to deal directly with, by the way, who was their client originally, who signed a mortgage with them.
Right.
So go a little bit deeper into the concept of foreclosure management and why there is so much of a need. And we can only guess, but I have a feeling that there's going to be a need again for people to rely on somebody to point them in the right direction.
About November or December this year, there will be another epidemic. It's unfortunate. I have developed a knowledge of the subprime and now even the standard mortgage and mortgage-backed security. And I have a greater wealth of knowledge than, as I say before, a room filled with 5 or 55 Harvard MBAs, attorneys. They understand the civil rules of procedure. They don't know bupkis, as we would say in Yiddish, about the actual process of a mortgage origination and how it fails. So we use a number of strategies, and the strategies develop based upon the complaint that the bank puts in court. And I have to tell you, I have never seen a complaint put into the court without errors, whether they're one error or they're a dozen errors. And some errors you never see at the beginning, but you see them as you go through discovery. Now, I have to back up here and tell you, an attorney, a bar licensed attorney in any state of the United States cannot be directed by anybody but their own good common sense, if you will, about the case. But they can take advice. They can direct their defense in a foreclosure based upon new information. I am that source of information in all of our cases. I'll give you an example. I'm often asked, what kind of strategies do we use? Those strategies are uncovered on the basis of holes in the lender's complaint. I would say that 80% of the attorneys that review a complaint won't really see a hole. I see many holes. I can't tell you I see them all. That would be an overstatement. But once I see that hole, I can open it and explore it and then lay out the opportunities for the attorney to expose in discovery with the court circumstances that are allegedly in place to allow a foreclosure. When you find that hole and you find out that that opportunity gives you, let's say, or gives the chance for the defense attorney to come back at the complainant, the lender, and say, please explain, please explain, please explain, and they fail to explain, all of a sudden you have a different case than the day it started with you in court. I have just opened the case down in Pompano Beach, and it was filed originally back in October last year. Well, the silliest hole in the case is the attorney never really served papers correctly. It has nothing to do with the material issues of the case, but we've reset the case to September of this coming year. It's a whole year. This person is now able to live in their home, which is not our goal. Our goal is to make sure that the plaintiff has the case in order. Now we find out there are other holes in this case in the past 3 months that may give us the opportunity of having a settlement made. If the I know it's more, that's about a $900,000 foreclosure case. Property's only worth about $400,000 today, and there's now rising to the surface an opportunity to maybe get a settlement for the homeowner of $200,000 that can go away on behalf of the plaintiff. These are the values that we look at and the opportunities we look at going through a case. All of this time, the homeowner will either stay in the house or at least contain full title to the case. So we provide to the attorney, in addition to having an attorney that's fully versed in foreclosure defense. I hope I'm not confused or putting too much with that. It is a challenging discussion, very challenging. I could go on for hours and days. I don't want this particular case a whole year, and we have three more issues. Just to give you a fast overview, 3 more issues. The crowning issue is Bank of America owns the note today, is the descendant or the antecedent to Countrywide, and Angelo Mozillo was the owner of Countrywide, who sold hundreds of millions of dollars worth of stock just before the crash. And the SEC chairperson accused him of fraud, deceit, charged $67 million for deceiving his investors who bought mortgage notes. What is said in that one statement is he deceived homeowners by overvaluing their home in the underwriting process, saying the home was worth $800,000, $900,000, in encouraging a homeowner to continue with $200,000 down, when in fact the place was $300,000, which is where we are. So we're going after a new case right now in Pompano Beach to get back at least $300,000 from the homeowner and stretch the case an extended period of time so that it can be reviewed and set by a judge down in Broward County. I could go on for hours, case after case after case, but they get to be too many moving parts to really explain to an audience who may or may not be able to follow. But the details are fascinating. It's those odd things in my point in life that I find extremely interesting, and I love doing this.
Well, Richard, we're going to have to take a quick break. We got to hear a few words from our sponsors, and then when we come back, I want to still touch on that one because you brought up a bunch of things. One of the things that I find quite remarkable, everybody always wants, especially in something as important as losing or keeping one's own home. Wouldn't it be nice before you locked up, signed a contract, or chose an attorney to represent you, that you had a second opinion about who you're going to use? And that's exactly what you have. I put it in a different perspective, Richard. And Richard, our engineer, I'm going to tell me if we have enough time to go into our break. The whole idea.
No break.
The whole idea here is that for example, when you're in a hospital and you're at a weak moment and you feel terrible, and especially when you think about it in the terms of this pandemic, and all you would wish to have would be to have one of your loved ones or relatives, somebody that you could trust, to be your advocate, because you're in no condition at that point to be the one defending your position and watching out for all of your interests. And that's what foreclosure management really is to have at the same time a second opinion, in fact, maybe even a better than a first opinion, and an advocate with you along the way. Does that about sum it up there?
Yeah, I think you may have done a better job of it than I have. Yes, we since I pay the attorney, I review the invoices and the motions they put in, the results of those motions, and I understand what their motions are supposed to accomplish. The homeowner who blindly hires an attorney has no knowledge of that. So we bring an enormous amount of advantage to the homeowner, not to mention that we pay the attorney for them. Under certain circumstances, they have to meet us over in your part of the state. They'll have to meet us in our office over in Boca and qualify, which is not a big deal. It's very simple to qualify. We will find the attorney, we will pay the attorney, and we'll give them the best defense could be ever found.
See, this is, again, what I just described was one enormous difference. And if you folks out there in radio land or on Facebook or on YouTube, if you know of somebody that does anything like this, tell me, because I have not found it. And I can tell you that I wish I knew Foreclosure Man back in 2002 and 2007, 2008, and 2009, because it was the wild, wild west. And I can't tell you, if I didn't interview 24 attorneys, I interviewed 36 attorneys. I went through attorneys helping clients. And, at one point in time, between helping loan modifications, short sales, and preventing foreclosures, we literally helped hundreds of clients back then. And I want to be prepared if that situation comes back. Probably similar to you, I was in court with clients so many times that I knew attorneys on a first name basis. In fact, the judges thought that because I was there in a supportive fashion, the judges thought that I was an attorney because I always went, dressed in my Sunday dress.
Eric,
yes, sir.
Let me jump in here a second. I did the last show with you on Tuesday last week, and since then, they've gone to our website, asktheforeclosureman.com. And on that site, there is a box to push if you'd like to be an attorney for one of our clients, or our clients in general. I've had 7 attorneys apply to be attorneys for my clients. I've interviewed all 7. And all of them claim to be experts. I wouldn't hire one of them. Not one. It's a very challenging probability that you'll ever get an attorney that understands what they're doing in foreclosure defense. There are good ones around. They are so few, so very few.
So this is interesting. And Richard, our engineer, if you can spot me an extra minute or so, we're coming up against the end. If anyone wants to contact and ask more questions of Foreclosure Man, first of all, asktheforeclosureman.com is a great way to find out. You read more about the process, more about the system, and then there are phone numbers for you to call and ask your questions. You can email and ask the questions. Foreclosure Man, did you want to give a phone number out for our listeners here before our show ends?
I certainly do, and you did that to me last time. And I gave you, it's 561. And I am actually at a loss to tell you because it's a new number for us.
Let me see.
Oh golly.
Well,
wait a minute.
Just remember for sure it is Ask the Foreclosure Man. That is where you want to go. I have a number here for you. I'm gonna give out the 941-321 number. Does that work for you?
The best one is 561-758-4110.
Go one more time.
561-758-4110.
4110.
You'll actually get me on the phone to set up an appointment to meet you over in our Boca office.
So as you can see, the music is coming in. I mean, our time is running out. And once again, we keep getting just maybe a little sliver more of uncovering the onion. But we'll continue this conversation on next Tuesday's show. Marianne on our live Facebook said, banks treat the foreclosures like a business. It sure makes sense for the consumer to take a business approach as well and arm yourself and defend yourself the same way that they're armed in their approach.
So for those of you, again, once again, it's asktheforeclosureman.com if you want to get more information. Otherwise, Foreclosure Man will be here again, same place, same time next Tuesday. So mark your calendars. Thank you, Foreclosure Man, for coming over and talking to us about this very important topic.
Thank you, Eric. Good night.
Good night. So that's it. That wraps it up here for the Real Estate Show. Remember, we're here live Monday through Friday, 5 days a week. Until tomorrow, same place, same time. This is Eric Warner signing off. Drive safe and make it a great day.
Questions about today's program or to arrange a consultation, call toll free at 888-595-7779. That's 888-595-7779. And join us every day at the same time right here on South Florida's Money Talk Radio.
So another good show, and I'm going to tell you that this gentleman knows what he's talking about. And as you can imagine, if you guys, and some of you may be watching this after the live show, on his website, if you know a very good foreclosure attorney that you want to refer, also refer them to, or even go ahead and put their name and send it over to Foreclosure Man. We're always looking. We know we're going to need some good foreclosure attorneys come, whenever they lift these moratoriums and these preventions from being able to do evictions and foreclosures. It's going to happen. I don't know whether it'll be a tsunami or whether it'll just be big waves, but there will be a spike in the foreclosures once these artificial measures are lifted. So, by the way, Marianne, that was a very good observation. And I always tell people the same thing, they're going to treat it like a business. They're going to roll up their sleeves and they're going to come, ready to go. And they're going to become much more ready to do it this time than they did last time. So as, as they say, you don't bring a knife to a gunfight. And so that's what you want to do. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here. So thanks for joining us. Join us again, same place, right here tomorrow. Until then, bye-bye. One second there, sir. Give me 1 second as I'm changing up my camera. Make sure that I've gotten that done. Finish. All right. All right. The floor is yours, sir. Yeah, in fact, first of all, I'm delighted to hear about I was both delighted and disappointed. Delighted to hear about the 7 attorneys who have applied. I'm disappointed for you that they were not of the caliber that would have been useful. But it's kind of interesting because even like I told you, I think I mentioned it, that I had a sponsor, an air conditioning company, and he got employees from this show, which was very interesting. So I didn't realize that you were looking for attorneys. We can mention that in the concept. Not surprised. Yeah. Yep.